Okay, listen up, y'all, because this is it. The beat that we're bringing is improv-ish. Licious. That was going so
to the
well.
M to the P-R-O-V improvisation. I to the M to the P-R-O-V improvisation. Anyway, so we signed up for improv classes in August. I think it was August. So we've been in improv classes for a good several months. So we signed up. We signed up for improv class because we wanted to improve our communication skills, work with, talk with different kinds of people.
And actually practice it in practice.
Yeah.
That was one of the big things.
Yeah.
For me is actually practicing that because we can read all about communicating or what have you.
We don't communicate very well.
But if you don't practice it, it's not going to get better.
Yeah. My biggest goal was being able to get better at thinking on my feet. So, with that said, we've been in improv classes for several months. We initially signed up for level 1, and it's an 8-week, each level is 8 weeks. So we said, let's do level 1, and then we can do improv classes somewhere else, or we can take a break, or whatever. And we ended up really liking it and having so much fun that we decided to take level 2. After level 2, we were like, well, we'll probably stop now. And then now we're in level 3.
We're in level 3 and we're almost done.
Yeah.
We only have 2 more weeks left.
Yes, and we have very exciting news because on February 10th, we are doing our very first improv performance at the Hootenanny. So,
we are.
We are inviting you to come and watch us improvise
Something.
on stage, live.
Not just us, not one of us, our whole group.
Our whole team.
Our whole team.
Our class.
Team 100 of the Bovine Metropolis. The Bovine.
The Bovine.
School Theater. We are the 100th class to go through the levels, and we are going to be performing as a team in our first show together.
Yeah. So it's
not
gonna be
planned, not scripted, just a hoot and a half, if you will.
It's gonna be, so we're gonna perform for 20 minutes, and then there's other groups that are gonna perform after us. So that'll be a great time. So if you want to come, what you do,
let us know.
Awesome. Cool. So now let's just get into a little bit more about some of the misconceptions of improv. When you say when you think of improv, you think of stand-up comedy or Whose Line Is It Anyway? And while yes, it's funny, and yes, there's short form improv, which is what Whose Line Is It Anyway is, there's a whole nother world. There's a door that you have to just open and peek your head in, and it's whoa.
Hello. Ding dong. Woo!
Yeah, so you don't have to be funny to be in improv classes, to sign up for improv, anything like that. And when you actually try to be funny, it isn't funny. Yeah. So it's awesome. You don't have to be funny.
We sure ain't funny.
No.
We think we are funny ourselves, but that's just it.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do a lot of long form improv, and that's what we learn. And that's just more...
It's a scene, an actual scene, instead of games.
Instead of little short bits, it's just long scenes. Yes. But it's all totally improvised too, which is fun. How has our experience been? What are benefits? What are things that, maybe we thought were going to be one way, but ended up being a different way? So there's a whole bunch of things on this section. So
the first thing and the biggest thing was in level 1, our teacher Brittany taught us to if you mess up, give yourself 3 to 5 seconds to be mad at yourself and then move on. And that led me to my analogy of improv being very similar to football as far as the 4 downs. And after each down, you can't sulk and you can't be mad at yourself if you mess up the play or if you didn't get the ball or whatever. You just have to move on because there's 3 more to go. Yeah. And you're going to be fine. And everyone has forgotten about it because they're already on to the next down. Yeah. And that was something really cool that right away I made that analogy especially after Brittany said that.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for that is a lot of people are afraid to try improv or to start doing something like that for the fear of, oh my God, what if I mess up? Oh my God, I'm going to make a fool of myself. Oh my gosh, it's going to go so wrong. Is that nobody cares. And most people empathize with you. Like, being on stage takes bravery and courage. Like, even our friend said that this morning. Like, they know that you're up there and it's improv. Like, they know that you're trying your best and everything. And it's really not scary at all. And once you realize that you and your group are all in the same, especially in classes, when you realize that you and your entire group are all there and you guys, none of you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so once you guys all kind of let your guard down and just be yourself and let loose and just totally like immerse yourself in it, that's where the fun comes, because you have to get out of your head.
Yeah.
And that's where the fun comes, and you can't worry about making a mistake.
Mm-hmm. You don't really have time to think. That's the other thing, is that you are present. You are current, present, and your brain is off, and it's only taking in like what's happening right now and how your character feels about that right now. And it's so amazing because we have just been able to meet new people and make new friends and just play, and while learning at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it's really fun, and it's a really great experience, and we obviously have kept going. We love it. Yeah. And our team has been the same team throughout each level, and it's just, we're growing and learning with them, and new people get sprinkled in as well. But being present and being like having your brain off and only being present and current to what's happening right now is super important, and it's super helpful to translate to real life every day. Yeah. I agree. So if you ever take improv classes, you will know that the number one rule is yes. And so with that said, you all on stage, you have to have each other's backs and say no, and it kills the scene, and you can't really go on, and it's just not fun to watch. So you really have to yes and. So everyone just says, like, you just yes and it. So if someone says something, whether or not it was what you thought was going to happen next or not, usually it's not. You have to like forget about what you wanted to say or do and just yes and your scene partner and just go with it. And that's the best thing. And it translates to life, because sometimes I think it's a little bit of like choosing your arguments, or choosing, what do they say? Pick your battles. Yeah. Where, sometimes it's just better to say yes and, or just move on. Yeah, so that's a big one, just saying yes, and just saying yes in general. I mean, we said yes to trying improv, and, we're saying yes to, I said yes to trying Zumba class, and just saying yes, and just taking that perspective on things. Listening is so important because it relates to being present. If you are not present, if you are in your head, if you are in your own thoughts, you can't be listening to what your scene partners are saying. It's impossible. And then you're lost in the scene, and then you don't know what's going on. Yeah. And then you mess up. Yeah. And you look like a fool, pretty much. As opposed to channeling your character, which in real life, your character is just yourself. So just channeling your character or your inner self and actually listening will allow you to interpret what's going on and react to it, as opposed to not listening, being in your head, and then you're on your own track. Yeah. And then it's like, what? Yeah. It's really like been able to like slow me down and help listen, because being like quick on your feet doesn't mean like necessarily like you have to go like 100 miles an hour. You're just like quick thinking and like being able to like think of like different random things within conversation or within the scene. Yeah. And sometimes it's thinking quick on your feet isn't even saying something. It could just be not saying something, or reacting, or taking a moment, or moving, or like, you know what I mean? It's a lot of different things. Yes. So, I'll take the next one. Brevity. That's a big one, because on stage you don't want to just sit and listen to one person just talk the whole time. It's a give and take between everyone in the scene, and everyone plays off each other, and that's where the funny comes from. And so you can't be just very long-winded. And for me, I tend to be long-winded, as we've learned filming all these videos that we're doing. Yes. I tend to talk and talk. Well, it's fine, but sometimes I just tend to talk and talk and talk and just reiterate the same thing in a couple different words. And I'm like, okay,
get the point across, stop.
That's it. Move on.
And that's the same thing when you're performing or on stage. It's the short, quick, back and forth. And that's where the funny comes, because when someone says, like, oh my gosh, I have potatoes, and you're like, yeah, welcome to Arby's. And then it's like, oh my gosh, like, whatever, then it's funny.
Yeah, that makes it funnier, because you're not going on and on and on, and you're actually moving the relationship forward.
Yeah.
And moving the scene forward.
Yeah.
Instead of just spewing.
Yeah.
Your favorite. Giving and taking.
And give. And take. And give. And take. I don't know.
I guess it's everyone's favorite. And it's cool to learn and practice, because it's kind of hard.
It is. It is hard, especially like the biggest thing that you learn kind of in like level 1, but now going back to it in level 3 is it's not about you. It's about you and your scene partners and your relationship. So it doesn't matter what you thought or what you wanted to do or what you wanted to say. It's about how you guys are all interacting together. So if you come into a scene and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be on a boat, and I'm going to have a rubber duck, and I'm going to just, fish with my rubber duck or whatever. But then someone says something else. You have to
go to the grocery store.
Yeah, you have to keep your choices and make sure that you don't just like change things around, but giving and taking. And so giving up your whole preconception for what you thought was going to happen, and just, playing in the scene, and just with like what we said, staying present and doing all of that. But giving and taking is not talking throughout the whole scene. It's giving gifts to your partner and not asking them questions to where they're going to have to work harder.
For me, it's not interrupting.
Yeah. Yeah, like letting people
have their moment. Because my thought takes precedence, and I have to say it right away.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I'm working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that leads right into the next one of giving up control.
Yeah.
Is that sometimes you're not in control, and that's okay. And it's great, because it's like a safe space to do it. If anything, in improv is when you're playing. It's a great place to practice those things as a different character or as yourself. But you do have to like let go, and kind of like what I was saying before. But it isn't about you. It's about the overall scene, and just working together and understanding that you are not the most important person in the room. Sometimes you are.
Yeah.
But sometimes you aren't. So overall, we obviously really, really enjoy the improv classes that we love our theater. We love our class. We love our teachers.
Brittany and Royce.
Yeah, it's just been an overall wonderful experience. We would highly recommend it to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, find your local improv theater. Go to improv classes. It'll help you in more ways than you think it will. Because we went into it with the expectation of like, oh, I want to get better at communicating and like, working with people or thinking on my feet.
Yeah.
But I think we got so much more out of it than we really expected to. Just with being present and listening, and like all those things that we just talked about are really things that we got out of it that we didn't think we were going to. Like, yeah, of course, the things that we wanted to get out of it, we have gotten out of it. I've gotten a lot better at talking, or, talking in front of people, or just whatever.
Yeah.
I've just gotten better at general communication skills and whatever.
Not with me.
You need to work on your communication skills with me. We're a work in progress. For people who are around each other literally 24/7, we really communicate poorly.
Poor. At least we agree on something. No, because I tell you that you have poor communication.
But so do you. But you're not listening to me when I say that. You're like, yeah, I know you do. Anyway, so we love it. And again, we're performing our very first show on February 10th. So maybe some of that will end up in our next vlog.
Possibly.
Hopefully. Yeah, so we couldn't say anything better about it, and you'll get more out of it than you think, and don't be scared. Everyone else is in the same exact position as you, and once you just kind of let go.
It's so fun. We laugh the whole time,
yeah.
And while we're learning and while we're playing, it's so funny.
It's such a great time, and it's like, what other way, like for 2.5 hours a week, once a week. You get to just go play and have fun. Like, as adults, like, when does that ever really happen? Never.
Every
So
day.
it's whatever. Accounting is just riveting. It's just so funny. Yeah, so I just thought of the analogy. I think that, did Brittany say this or Royce? I don't know who said it, but, like, imagine when you're going down
On the
slide.
slide!
Yes.
Kick your feet up!
When you're going down the slide,
That was Royce.
if you put your feet down on the slide and you kind of go down and you kind of like that's no fun and it hurts and it's not pleasant. So if you go down the slide and you let your feet up, you
Yes.
just go wee! So you just have to let your feet up and really just enjoy the ride, and you'll get
You will.
so much out of it. You'll
Yes.
enjoy it, you'll love it, you'll have so much fun, you'll learn, and who knows, you may be Denver's next improv star.
Boom.
And that's it for us today.
That's it for us.
3, 2, 1, get real!